Oh, Ellen's calling me to tell me I got no. Oh my God! Thank you, Ellen. Oh God, I can't believe I did all that with no sound. I forgot to unmute my mic. I'm so. Oh. Well, now I can hear the sound coming through your computer. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm glad you're on the case. Wake up, Mitch. Everybody's telling me I'm busy talking away. It's Saturday. I've been up since 4:30 this morning. Hang on, Ellen. Say hi to the people. Say hi.
Hi, everyone.
There you go. Okay. Oh, maybe I should just leave the phone on and you can be in here and keep an eye on me. I need your help, Ellen. Ellen. Oh my God.
I guess maybe you need me after all. Huh?
I'm so embarrassed.
No, I sent you a text to people.
Everybody's texting me.
I'm gonna call him.
Tanya Kitchen Witch even bought me a coffee. No sound. Oh my God. I can't believe it. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Listen, the last 5 minutes. Thanks, Ellen.
Okay.
Talk to you later. All right.
It's been good. I said he must be on a roll.
Oh, yeah. Well, I get going.
I'll hang up and listen.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Ellen. What a way to start. Okay. Thanks. Bye-bye. Okay. I am so embarrassed. So, in the famous words of, for those of you who remember Rosanna Dana from Saturday Night Live. Never mind. Okay. Good morning, everybody. Oh, let me tell you something. This is not professional show business. I get a chance to do do-overs. Welcome. Welcome to Morning Coffee with Mitch. Drink it if you got it again. Wow, how embarrassing. How embarrassing. Anyway, I was showing you, the whole reason I was showing you the pictures of my big monitor was I was telling you why some funny things might look funny today. I've fixed it. I keep trying to make it better so I don't have to strain as much so that I can read these things easier. And I brought this big monitor out, which is what I was telling you, unless you could read lips. I also told you that don't hate me. It's 70 plus degrees here this morning. It's gorgeous in Florida. I can't help it. I can't help it. I'm so embarrassed. There's a little button on my mixer. And it's got a bright red light on it. I should have noticed it. But, oh, wow. Anyway, the reason I showed you that picture was I rearranged my desktop a little bit. And right now, I'm looking into the camera. I'm looking directly at the camera, and you'll see me looking right at the camera, and I'm looking at the little image on the little monitor on the camera, and that's fine. But when I look at the actual chat that's coming in that I can put on the screen and I keep track of, I will be looking over this way a little bit. And if I have to look further over on this big monitor, I'll be looking right here. I hope that isn't too distracting that I'm not always looking in the camera. I have to get used to this. I can't move the camera in front of the monitor that I need to be reading, and I can't put it on top of that monitor. It's too high. So at any rate, we got a new setup. It works great. I can read fabulously. No more straining, no more mispronouncing names and words. I hope. And thank you. And speaking of coffees, I'll get this out of the way now. I know you're tired of it. I'm going to put a link in the chat to buy me a coffee because you've been busy already this morning, and thank you so much, Tanya. Thank you so much, Tanya. And earlier, before the stream came in, Francine Bourgeois from Frigid, Canada, bought me 5 coffees. Thank you so much. And let me read what she actually wrote here. She wrote, this was so sweet. And Francine is is the is the person that bought me my coffee warmer. So thanks again. Thanks again. You're very generous. Anyway, she writes, Francine writes, like the apple, in this case 5, meaning she bought me 5 coffees, wow, that we bring to a great teacher, she says, thank you, Mitch. Well, what a way to start the day. I was so overwhelmed that I forgot to turn on my microphone, Francine. Can you imagine that? Anyway, you got questions for me today? I think you can probably hear me. And Booby Goats, Aaron, I see Popeye says it's a toasty 42 degrees here. I've got chats set up where I can see them. I can see the latest chats on one monitor, and I can see the chats as they came in chronologically on my other monitor, where I can put them up on the screen. So I'm hoping to make it smoother. And on a day when I was hoping to make it the smoothest it's ever been, what do? I forget the microphone. Thank you, everybody that was texting me, calling me. I'm glad Ellen was watching. I would have noticed it eventually, but oh my God. Can you imagine me going through a whole stream with no sound? I think you'd all disappear. I don't think any of you would be here. There's 91 people here on a Saturday morning already. Let me go make sure I am live. Obviously, I'm live on YouTube, but let me check to make sure that Rumble is live. I see, yes, I am, and I want to quickly say hi to Mike Seeley Sr. in the Rumble chat, Mike Seeley Jr. in the Rumble chat, Rod Weeder, good morning, everyone from Arizona. Ketra, good morning, checking on this channel now, going to YouTube, and then no sound, and Mike Seeley says it's okay now. Great, thank you guys. Thank you guys. If I wasn't so oblivious, I would have noticed that myself. That will never happen again. But if it does, let me know. I'll figure it out eventually. Well, I'm glad to have Ellen in the chat. And at least she knows she can call me anytime I screw up or miss something very important. I got a little clouds overhead. The sun is not shining so brightly on me. Well, I had a few things I wanted to say today. I'm not going to spend a lot of time at it. A couple of announcements. Number one, if you remember that little episode, a little adventure that Mark Whistler made that coffee cup for me, sent it, it got here broken. I tried to fix it and couldn't, and he said he was going to make me some new ones. They're supposed to be here today. He sent 2 of them, one for Ellen. I'm going to send it up to Ellen, and I'll have one. Thank you so much, Mark. I don't know if you're watching this morning, but appreciate it. I'll let you know when I get them. Evidently, it takes some time to get them. So what an effort. And that just gives me reason to keep doing this because of you guys. All of you guys. Okay, I did see Peter had a question, so there is a question down the road. I can see the latest chat. It's going to work out great, I think. I think it's going to work out great. And I'll probably improve it some more, because that's the way I am. I tell people if it ain't broke, don't fix it, and then I always keep fixing things. I think they call that being a hypocrite. But I'll save that if it ain't broke, don't fix it advice for my diet. And that makes everything else I do okay. Okay, it's okay, guys. All right, this afternoon at 3, we have a live stream, Saturday, 3 p.m. live stream, and I'm going to do what we did last week. I'm going to throw a link in the chat to the panel, and whether you're a member of the private community or not, doesn't matter. We want to see you in there. We had a great time last Saturday, and as long as we keep having great times on Saturday, I'll keep doing it. So 3 p.m. this afternoon, I will post the actual video after I'm done with this one this morning. The reason I do that is I don't want to confuse Rumble. If they have 2 videos ready to go live at the same time, I don't know which one they would try to connect to. So I always wait till after the current one is done. And the sun is back in my eyes. Thank you, sun. Appreciate it. Live stream today. Really don't have much to talk about. Comment on the news. All drones all the time. It's getting silly. It's getting silly. Do you know how many people own drones in this country? Do you know how many drones that DJI alone sells? Millions. Millions of people own drones, and I think they're all punking us right now. And I still stick to my story that it started with the government testing, and all of these people who think they're funny have chimed in. And in watching TV this morning, so many of the images that people caught with their cell phone were airplanes. I'm sorry, they were airplanes, okay? Because airplanes are going to go overhead in northern Jersey. Do you know how many airplanes come and go from New York airports and Newark every day? Thousands of them. There will always be something with bright flashing lights flying overhead in the skies over northern New Jersey. And now people all over the country are getting in on it. I even thought about taking my drone out and buzzing a few of my neighbors, but then I thought, nah, they'll blame it all on me, and I can't have that. I can't have that. At any rate, good morning, everybody. Good to see you. And first one in this morning, Mike Seeley. That was last night, 8:56 p.m. Lucy Auerbach. These are the really early birds. Charger, Ropar, Mick, good to see you. Rick, rather, and Turamir Tuka from Finland in the duck motif this morning. The Furl Grandma's here. I might make a Saturday doesn't happen often. Well, we'll see you if you get here, Lady June. And here come the Insomniacs, Lucy Auerbach at 12:49 a.m. And Lucy says it's like tailgating and waiting and meeting up before the favorite live carnivore concert. You rock, meet Mitch. Thank you so much. Very kind of you. Very kind of you. And here we have Greg Smith is here. Greg Smith was in at 2:54 a.m. He might be out west now, so it might not have been that early in the morning for him. Peter chimed in. How you doing, Peter? Good to see you. Couch Potato. And now we get to people that actually slept. 5:55 a.m. for Couch Potato. Lynn Gerber, how you doing? William McCartney. Cliff Medina's here. Wayne Herman is here. Good to see you. Sandy Blythe is here. The Sealy boys are here. Good to see you. Smoothie says 22 degrees here in Indiana. Wow. Wow. Mark Booz is here. Mark here down in sunny, warm Florida. Gina Cav, good to see you. Nikki W. Jeff Johnson. Hiya, Jeff. How you doing? And Francine chimed in. Francine, good day, all Mitchers from Chile. 12 degrees, Montreal. Holy cow. And Richard Williams from Copper Hill, Tennessee is here. Hiya, Richard, with 4. Count them, 4 orange smiley faces. I've never even seen an orange smiley face anywhere yet. I guess maybe they're all coming up orange instead of yellow. Maybe it's this monitor. Interesting. Marla Kelly is here. How you doing? Good to see you. Just got my air fryer yesterday. I'm ready to try it out today. Hey, listen, good luck with that. Good luck with that. Air fry something up. And we have Paul McGrogan is here. Good to see you. And Lori is freezing her butt off up there at minus 14 degrees, which translates to friggin' cold. Wow, minus 14. Can't even imagine. Well, I can't imagine that. I've been in that at some point in my life, but I just can't imagine it being that cold. Patty Molden, good to see you. Don Galasso. Hi, Don. How are you? And Sheriff CB. How you doing, man? Good to see you. Good to see you. I chimed in even to say good morning to everybody, let you know I was awake. And who else knew? Who else knew that I haven't said? Mama Bear says good morning. Wanda Gerling. Hi, Wanda. Good morning. Mitch, Scooby, and everybody else. Dixie Scott's here. How you doing, Dixie? And we are coming up on 8:30 in the morning. Jeff Jerry Graham. Jerry Graham. Good morning, everyone. Captain America, Steve Rogers is here. Hiya, Steve, from Kansas City at 8:29. We're getting to where I first started. Edward Renner, yes, yes. And at 8:30 on the bell, Aaron Booby Goats. Good morning from Tennessee with angry geese. Man, nothing noisier than angry geese. Ellen chimed in at 8:30, just about the time I was getting started with no sound. God, am I going to cringe on the replay? Are you kidding? I'm going to watch that replay, and for 5 minutes, I'm going to sit there in sheer terror, hoping you could read lips. Loretta Nadeau, how you doing? Good morning, Loretta. Smoothie. No audio, Mitch. Here we go. No sound, no sound, no audio. Wow, where was I? I wasn't watching that. I think what happened was I was describing to everybody how I'm going to be looking here and there and everywhere, and I made a point of looking at the camera, and while I was focusing on the camera, I was not looking at the chats at all. That will teach me. Ellen screamed at me. We can't hear you. Sound is out. Sound is out. Oh, wow. No sound. No sound is off. No sound. Tell him, Ellen. Dixie says, Mike is muted. This is great. What time were we? We were up at 8:31. This went on for another 5 minutes. Holy cow. Let me skip down. I'm going to tell you, if I ever need to find a tactic to get you all to chat, if YouTube really does let more than normal use of the chat, more chats actually influence the algorithm and get me more views, I'll do that more often. I've never seen so much chatting in such a short period of time. Anyway, Ellen called. There's our first QQQ of the day. Sound, no mic. I hope you did have I love it. I love it. I hope YouTube hasn't found a way to silence Mitch. Yeah, I guess they could do that. Danny in Boston's here says good morning in the midst of all that. William says he likes lip reading. That's great. Scooby says I sent him a text. I didn't hear that either. Sometimes I don't hear the things on the phone because I got these headphones clamped around my ears. And Mark Whistler, I'm glad you're here, Mark. The cups are supposed to come today. We'll see. Plug your mic in. It was plugged in. I'd already tested it 10 times before the stream. I have a little button on my mixer that lets me mute any channel. Ellen trying to make the main decision. Should I call Cliff? Medina says WTF, which everybody knows stands for the World Trade Federation, doesn't it? I think that's what it stands for. Oh, yeah, and Booby, see, she knew Aaron, probably the greatest stuff ever said. There you go. Tammy screams at me, wake up, Mitch. Ellen says she's calling. He's not paying attention. Oh, my God, what did you say? And Byron, not sure what's showing up on the screen. I love it. Everybody says funny. Everybody's laughing. Hey, and I finally got it. Mark Booth says, hear you now. And now I have 37 chats of people telling me it's working. Thank you all so much for suffering through that and not just giving up on me and going away. Yeah, Friday the 13th leftovers. Yeah, you got that right. That's great. Oh, I appreciate it, guys. Kevin Deckard says good morning to me, and I'm looking for questions now. I got nothing else to say. God, that took up 22 minutes of this. I need a drink. And I need this. So excuse me while I fire up this cigar. And this is a long one today. This is called a Churchill. It is 7 inches long. More goodness for me. Ah, yes. Yes, yes. And they call this a Churchill because this is the shape, exact size of the cigar that Churchill himself smoked. I see a question here from Gladys Bull. I'll get to it as I go down, but she wants to know, well, let me answer it right now since I see it. I can't put it up on the screen because it's way down in the chat, but I'll answer it. And she says, I've heard that carnivore diet cures gum disease. And is that true? It has. In many, many cases, many people have reported that it cures so many of the problems of tooth decay, gum disease, because it helps support a healthy oral microbiome. Doesn't mean you can't stop brushing and flossing or water picking, but yes, that has been. I've heard that over and over and over again. Now there are a couple of dentist carnivores, and the name escapes me right off the top of my head. But just go in the YouTube chat, the search bar, type carnivore dentist, and you'll get some videos from some excellent guys, and they will take this down a rabbit hole, and you'll have every possible insight into that question. But yes, and that's the second time in 3 or 4 days that I've been asked that question. Doesn't mean you can't take care of your teeth, but I know my gums are in great shape for an old fart with stained teeth. My teeth are great. They're still all my own teeth except for 2 implants, which are hanging in there. But yes, good question. Okay, Kevin Decker was the last one up, and let's see. Thank you, Lori. Thanks for being human, Mitch. Yeah, I guess. I certainly am. I'm the last guy to ever claim to be perfect. And Tanya, you got the right idea. 3 cups of coffee. That might just do it this morning. And Captain America says, Ellen saves the day. Ellen, high praise from a superhero himself. Oh, this is great. We missed a lot of Mitch information. Great save, Ellen. And I'm still, all of this chatting happened in the first 5 minutes. I better get to work here and look for these channels. Mark's channel is here. Hi, Mark. How you doing? Good to see you. Lizzie's here. Good morning. Brian M. questions the 70. Yes, Brian. It is 70 degrees. If it gets any warmer in here when I put a sweatshirt on, I will need to turn that little ceiling fan on over my head, believe it or not. 30 degrees where he is. Bama J, checked in. How you doing? Good to see you. Thanks, Steve. I appreciate that. Tammy's up 27 degrees. Holy cow. Ellen tells me not to be embarrassed. I am embarrassed, Ellen. Josephine, you know how I strive to be as professional as I can out here on my back porch in this little thrown together studio that I made. Josephine, how you doing? Good to see you. And, that's where I threw up my Buy Me a Coffee link. Thank you all so much. I think somebody else did. Let me see. I think Glenn Ish ISCH. Glenn Ish bought me a coffee. Rough start, he says. Enjoy one on me. Don't mind if I do, Glenn. Thank you so much. I'll enjoy this one that I have right here. And I'll drink the one that you sent me next. And God, do I love that coffee warmer. Every sip is just perfect. And if you happen to pick up one of those, I put the link to it in my, I was asked to put the link to it on my Amazon page. Links to stuff I use on my website at OldGuyCarnivore.com. They're great. I found that the best temperature for me to use it at is the second from the lowest. The lowest that has setting, and it has a little digital display on it, the lowest setting is 131 degrees, and then the next one is 145. That one works perfectly, even with the non-flat bottom coffee cups that they tell you should use, which nobody has. Who the hell's got a coffee cup that's got a perfectly flat bottom? The closest thing I could find to that is a tin cup. Well, all coffee cups have little rims around the bottom, but it works. It works great. And you don't have to turn it up super hot either. So 145 degrees. Okay, I'm looking for questions more so than to say hi to everybody. I said hi to most of these people. If I see somebody while I'm scrolling, I will say hi to somebody new. I see all the usual suspects here this morning. We have 130 people on a Saturday morning. Wow. Pretty good. 9 o'clock. So I'm ready to start answering questions besides the gum periodontal disease one. Ellen reminded people there to put some QQQ in the chat. I think it's great. I think it's great that you guys chat. Terry Sue says Curry's having problems with his live stream from the UK this morning also. Or Steve says Curry is having problems. Well, my problem was my fault. I can't blame it on anybody but my being asleep at the literal switch. And you guys know this too well. I'm eagerly awaiting the lawn maintenance guys. No, they don't work on Saturdays, so we're good. We're good. I've been told to always check the chat. I've been reading this chat all morning. Okay, here we go. A question from Peter. Peter only asks questions that he already knows the answer to. I think maybe he's just trying to give me something to talk about. What would you recommend to someone who's been on carnivore for a few months and has not lost any weight or has gained some weight? I would recommend that you keep doing what you're doing if you've only been on carnivore for a month or two. Keep doing what you're doing. Doesn't matter if you lose or gain weight while you're fat adapting. Once you've become fat adapted, once you have put those carb cravings to bed, once you can not have to turn to my little tactic of stuffing your face full of meat every time you get a craving and eating mass quantities, much more food than you really need. Once you get to that point, you'll find that your natural hunger and satiety signals will guide you to eating the correct amount of food for your body, and your body will normalize. If you're too skinny when you start carnivore, you'll gain weight. If you're too heavy when you start carnivore, you'll lose weight. Now, this is assuming you don't have any other mitigating conditions or are taking any medications whose side effects are weight gain. Because all bets are off if you're artificially putting things in your body or you have something wrong with you. There are people who have severe thyroid issues, who have other issues that are simply not going to lose weight. Most of the time, the reason that new people who start this, most of the time, it's the same answer. Most of the time, your insulin is too high because you've been eating too much sugar. You're either a diabetic, a borderline diabetic. When your insulin is high, your body will not give up fat. I've talked about this many times. When your insulin is high, your subconscious mind gets the signal that you are eating survival food, which means food is scarce, which means we need to keep eating, which means don't trigger any satiety signals. Trigger just the opposite. So they'll gorge and store away as much of this food that we can until the real food comes back. A month or two is not a long time after a lifetime of living in that paradigm where your fat cells are basically miserly, always assuming there's a famine. And you're never getting that satiety signal. So just keep at it for a while. If you're managing to stay on carnivore and eat 0 carbs, and you don't binge and you don't cheat, because when you binge or you cheat or have a cheat meal or a cheat day, all bets are off. You're back to square one anyway. You've just reinforced that. You've just dosed yourself with insulin, and you have basically said to your cells, it's a famine. Stick to it. Stick to it. I don't know who Peter is asking that question for, but whoever is that applies to, you have to stick to it or all bets are off, at least for a few months, or else it won't work. It won't work. That's a good question, though, Peter. Good question. And down the chat we go. Down the chat we go. Let me get rid of Peter's question on the screen there. And something else I forget to do. I always leave these things up on the screen. And Tanya says, I have not lost a pound since August, but feel great, so I'm over it. Just keep doing what you're doing, Tanya. I don't know how much weight you have to lose, but maybe some intermittent fasting would help you. Eat 2 meals a day, space them out 4 or 5 hours apart, and just give your body a chance. I don't know how long you've been doing this. I don't know anything about you. Love to have you guys come in on Saturday afternoon. Come in and we get to meet you and maybe I learn a little more about you individually. Or you can send me an email. Just send me an email at OldGuyCarnivore@gmail.com and tell me all about yourself. So I'll have a little better idea of what your situation is when you ask me these kinds of questions. Let's see here. And a new person came in, Isabella. Hello to all. Hi, Isabella. Good to see you. And Gladys Bowl, or Bowley. Good to see you, too. Good to see. Observer is in the house. Hi, Observer. I used to own drones. I've had 4 in the past. Yeah, this was a drone channel, For years, that's all I did was fly drones. This channel is 6 years old. I got a thing from YouTube the other day on my studio homepage. It says, congratulations, today's your channel's 6th birthday. But I've only been doing carnivore since August of 2022, almost a year and a half now. But yeah, I love drones. I don't fly them very much anymore, but I pretty well had to stop when I had my head injury. I couldn't wear the goggles that I used to wear because it would cause me vertigo. And I haven't done much since. And I haven't had time because I'm doing this every morning. I used to go fly drones every morning, but now I'm a famous broadcaster. And Tour says, question, how are you, boss? Other than my little embarrassing slip up this morning, I'll give you my stock answer, Tuka. If I was any better, my friends, it would be illegal. It would be illegal. I told my buddy to take out his drone years ago, and we could see what the lady next door was wearing. Yeah, DS-111, I expect that from you. Yeah, that's why people hate drone flyers. You're spying on my wife by the swimming pool. My answer to those people is, have you seen your wife? I'm sorry, ladies, but that's the first thing that comes. That's the first thing that comes to mind. And everybody's talking away to each other. Any questions? I'm looking for them. I'm up to 8:46. I am 25 minutes behind in this chat. Question. Mitch, can you please explain priming? Okay, priming is another way to say what I say, and that is for the first 30 days of your diet, eat until you can't eat anymore. I came up with that little thing long before I heard anybody else talking about priming. I came up with that when I started carnivore 2.5 years ago. I said, you know what? I got these awful cravings. The only way to get rid of them is to just not let myself be hungry. And I started stuffing my face, not worried about gaining weight. And it worked. Priming is essentially the same thing. Maybe little different techniques, different ways to recognize it. Maybe with priming, they don't talk about addiction. The people who talk about priming just talk about eating a lot of food. There's more to it than that. You have to learn to recognize when an addiction is starting to nag at you. You have to always have food with you, no matter where you are. You have to be able to eat. You should never eat a snack, only a meal. Once you start and take the first bite of something, you have started a cascade of digestive processes that need to complete themselves. No eating between meals, no snacks, just 1 or 2 meals a day, or 3 if you need it, spaced apart to allow your digestion to digest fully. If people tell you that that's priming, then that's fine, because that's essentially what priming means. Hope that answers that question. It is a great tactic, John. It's the only way I was ever able to knock out this ridiculous carb addiction that has plagued me my entire life. And it took a month or 2 to happen. And it's been getting progressively better, and that addiction's fading more and more into some distant memory. But it's still an addiction. It's still an addiction, and I'm wary of that. And one falling off the wagon could, I'm convinced, and I don't want to test this theory, but I'm convinced it could take me right back to square one, because there's the evidence of that is so true out there in every addiction. And I always use alcoholism as, I think, one of the closest addictions to compare carb addiction to. Because there are some people that can do it in moderation, that aren't really strong addicts and get away with it. But we all know, those of us that are here, that most of us can't do that. Can't do that. Karen Travis, good morning to you. Good to see you. Good to see you from Missouri. And Pat Ramirez is here, says hi all. And yeah, we were still at the time of people checking in. Here's a new person, the Peach Baron. Welcome, long listener, watcher, new to posting. Great. Thanks for chiming in. Nice to know you're there. Yeah, anybody who watches these things, if you have a way to actually chat, just say hello. Just say hello to us. Doesn't cost anything. I'm looking for questions. I'm looking for questions through a myriad. Here's something. A question. Hello from Nuuk, Greenland. Well, I'm glad you brought that to my attention with the questions, Brian. It's not a question, but I don't imagine we get a lot of viewers, or I get a lot of viewers from Greenland. That's great. That's great. Great, great, great. And Brian has a real question here. How can I convince my 77-year-old mother to try the carnivore diet? Sadly, probably not. Sadly, you probably can't. This is this is not unique to you. Most of us, that's my age, 77. Most people who get to that age are pretty well set in their ways. Their addictions are pretty well set. I don't know what her health problems are, if she's doing okay, But here's the risk. Here's the risk. And everybody who's ever tried to introduce somebody to the carnivore diet, and let's call them civilians, anybody who's ever tried to introduce a civilian to the carnivore lifestyle will tell you that the success rate of actually getting people to start this and stick to it probably is less than 0.1%. In other words, out of 1,000 people that are told about the carnivore diet, maybe one will actually take it seriously, do a little research, convince themselves that there's something to it, and actually start it, and even more unlikely, actually stick to it. And when you get to be 77 years old, see, I've been dieting all my life, so I didn't start this when I was in my 70s. I started dieting in 1970. Well, I started dieting when I was a kid, but I started low-carb dieting in 73 when Atkins wrote his first book, and I've been low-carb most of my life. Every one of them, keto, paleo, but I never could kick the addiction until I went carnivore. So it wasn't a later in life decision for me. It was a lifelong quest to find the proper way to eat. Now, your mother, the only way she will ever come to this is if she sees amazing changes in you and says, maybe I should try it. Unless it's her idea, you don't stand a chance. And what you more than likely do is alienate your mother. I almost alienated both of my children trying to save their lives, trying to help them. My kids are in their 50s, and at this point in time, I will outlive both of them, and I don't want to do that. I do not want to bury my children. That's the most horrible thing I could think about. But I don't dare anymore. They both know about it. They both want to do it. They're both addicted so bad they can't. They've tried and failed and tried and failed. They're going to have to do it on their own now. When you love somebody, you want to help them, but like a parent who scolds their kids too often, the kids will hate you and alienate you, won't listen to you. It's a tough, fine line to walk. So be careful. Make a suggestion. Tell her you think it would be good for her. Tell her what she would have to do. And if she says, well, I try it, great, then guide her. But the chances are she's probably telling you that what you're doing is killing you because everybody knows that eating all that meat is bad for you and causes heart attacks. And how are you going to overcome that with your own mother? She's your mother, for God's sakes. She knows everything and you know nothing. Anyway, that's the answer to that question. Tread lightly. Do the best you can, but don't push too hard. Don't push too hard. That is the only advice that works. Loretta Nadal, how you doing? Good morning. Good morning to you. And any more questions here? Yeah, Tammy's going back to eating twice a day. I think OMAD, if you're trying to lose a ton of weight, in other words, if you got 100 or more pounds to lose, OMAD might not be a bad way to go because you pretty well, you don't want to be too deficient in energy when you eat because then you'll slow down your metabolism. It's a fine balance of eating enough food. And OMAD, unless you've got a huge appetite, for me, I tried it, and I did it for a few months. I just wasn't getting enough food. I couldn't cram all that food in one sitting. I mean, my satiety kicked in. I didn't even want to eat anymore. I got so put off by the food. And I said, okay, I got to do 2 meals a day, so I'll fast 19 hours a day instead of 23 hours a day. And I've been doing that for quite a while now, and it works for me. Peter's 84-year-old mom, high blood pressure, didn't listen to me for almost 2 years, but 3 weeks ago, out of the blue, I said, she said, I want to try your diet. Well, Peter, that's great that she came to it on her own. And of course, you lost over 100 pounds, so it's easy to see why she might have noticed. Glenn Ish says, I sent you coffee. Yeah, Glenn, thank you. I saw that, and thank you. Thank you in front of everybody. I appreciate that. That was very, very nice of you. And where are we? We are. There's another one on the mother theme. Tanya, Brian F. My mom is 70. Best I could do is to get her to give up sugar, eat more red meat, and up her fat. She is a carb addict. Got her afraid of diabetes and Alzheimer's. Well, that's good. That's all you can do. That's all you can do. Here's the question I answered already about curing gum disease. Just search for carnivore dentists on YouTube and you'll find everything you ever wanted to know about that. Thanks for that question. Well, we're doing pretty good, man. We're answering questions here. We're going along. Got about 10 minutes left, so it's not like I'm going to be sitting here with nothing to do. And Ellen is shilling for me. Thank you, Ellen. Maybe Mitch needs some more coffee. David Kane. Hey, good morning, David. Good to see you. Good to see you. Okay, here we go. Another question from Isabella. And while I digest that question, I will drink a little of this. Still hot. Yes, and I will relight this neglected cigar. You can enjoy it. Brief musical interlude, my friends. Let me ask you a question. Would you be disappointed if I did this? And just, because this is like cigar lounge music here. Or do you like, yeah, this is happier music. Okay, enough of that frivolity. The question is, I am never sure how much fat we need on carnivore. Is it only in the food or do you add some on purpose? Great question. Great question, and one of the more important, Isabella, one of the more important factors to consider. Because we don't need to keep track of very much on carnivore, at least the way I do it. I say don't micromanage anything. Don't always try to fix things. Don't always go for the latest YouTube video with what they're selling, this supplement and that supplement. Don't. Keep it simple. Imagine you were an animal, couldn't read or write or understand English, and yet you had to eat the right food. How would you know what to do? You do. You're programmed with it. Try not to outsmart what took a long time to fine-tune itself in the human animal. Most foods in nature that we eat, especially the meats, will have the right ratio of fat to protein, but we don't always eat all the fat either. Most of us will trim a steak. We'll buy ground beef with varying amounts of fat. The closest I think you can get to the proper ratio in ground beef might be close to 70-30 or 27-73. And that is by calories, which equates to 50-50 by weight. Excuse me. Tammy Patarch. Let me make sure I haven't missed anybody's coffees. I thank Glenn. I thank Tanya. I thank Francine. Tammy sent me an email. And the email says, Tammy Patarch bought a coffee. Thank you so much, Tammy. I appreciate that. She said, good morning, Mitch, with a coffee cup and a heart. Make my day. Thank you. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Tammy also said she was too sleepy and lazy to dance. Well, you relax, sweetie. Thank you. Thank you so much. Back to the fat question. The proper ratio of fat to protein is like 50-50 by weight. That's 50 grams of fat to 50 grams of protein, because fat has almost or more than twice the calories per gram. Fat has more than twice the calories. A gram of fat has 9 grams of calories. and I know we don't use calories, but it is a measure to compare things by. Protein has 4 grams per calorie. So it's confusing when you see fat ratios. When you hear 70% fat, generally they're always talking about calories, not weight. But then you'll hear somebody say, but an egg has 50% fat, and that's by weight. They don't tell you. Most people don't know there's a difference in those things. But you take an egg, has 50-50 fat to protein by weight, but 70-something, like 73-27 by calories. It's the perfect balance. So the way I make sure I get enough fat is I eat bacon and eggs every day. Bacon has a lot of fat. Eggs have a lot of fat. I make an omelet. I use most of the bacon grease left in the pan that gets soaked up by the eggs. I know I'm getting all that fat, and I don't ever have to add any fat to that. And I do that almost every day. Bacon and eggs. Eggs are nature's vitamin pill. They're the perfect balance of virtually every nutrient that you need. There's nothing that isn't in an egg that's necessary to build life. I tell people, everything to build a chicken, every atom of every compound of every element in exactly the right ratio and mixture exists inside an egg, because a chicken, a live, living chicken, comes out of that egg and has had the benefit of nothing additional coming in from the outside while it was forming. Eggs are so underrated, and they were so demonized because of the amount of cholesterol. The fact that eggs have a lot of cholesterol in them shows you how necessary cholesterol is to build and maintain life. If eggs didn't have the cholesterol, there would be no chickens. Everything adds up if you look at it in the right way. Second meal of the day, I usually try to eat some fattier meat, and I avoid the lean meats. I avoid chicken breasts. If I eat chicken, it's going to be the thighs or wings with the skin on, so I get plenty of that fat from the chicken skin. When I make even a ribeye steak, since I don't gobble up those big hunks of fat, I end up searing it in fat. I sear it in butter or bacon grease. If you don't think you're getting enough fat, if you tend to be eating leaner cuts of meat, even a filet mignon is a lean cut of meat. It has fat in it, but you might just douse it in butter or sear it in butter. And you know, you've seen in the cooking shows where they tilt the pan, they've got all the grease in the pan and the butter, and they take the spoon and they keep basting the meat with that. Well, yeah, that's adding fat, and that works good. So for me, I try to eat only the fatty cuts of meat, and that includes the cheaper cuts of meat, like brisket, chuck roast, things like that, and just don't lose all the fat. I deep fry things in bacon grease. My salmon cakes, my fried fish with pork rind crumbs. Get plenty of fat from that. That's my answer to that. If you still think you're not getting enough fat, you might put a little butter, ghee, or heavy whipping cream in your morning coffee if you think. There's a way to tell if you're getting enough fat. I talk about this a lot. Yes, it's bathroom talk, but it's true. The consistency of your stools tells you whether you're eating the proper ratio of fat. If you're constipated, and by constipated I don't mean you don't go for a couple days, because that's normal on carnivore. You know what constipated means. You strain, you push, hard as a rock when it comes out. You're not getting enough fat. If your stools are very loose or diarrhea, you could cut back on your fat a little bit. But we have that gauge. We have that gauge. We also have a gauge to tell if we're getting enough, we're drinking enough. And that is the color of our urine. If it's dark, you're not drinking enough. If it's clear as water when it comes out, you're drinking too much. Should have a slight color, slight tinge to it. So we have ways to tell without having to go out and buy test strips and meters and wire ourselves up to things of whether our diet and our consumption of liquid is correct. It's a great question. It comes up all the time, and I love to answer it because it's something everybody needs to hear over and over and over again. Thank you, Isabella, for that. Let's see, questions. I'm at the end here. I'm going to run down real quick. Oh my God, I'm a half an hour behind. So let me do this. Let me go into the actual chat itself. And I'm going to start at the bottom and I'm going to go backwards. The last question I see in here is from Mycomage. I don't know how you pronounce that. Mycomage. Question: what is your opinion on the fact that chickens are monogastric and are fed a bunch of grain, including GMO? I think that I don't care what animal you are. I don't care what animal you are. What you're fed doesn't end up becoming a part of you, because what you're fed is broken down in the digestive process to its raw materials. And in the case of grain, it ends up being sugar, and in that case, it turns into fat. So sugar fattens you up, but the meat in chicken has no grain in it. The meat in a pig has no grain in it. The meat in a cow, even a grain-finished cow, has no grain in it. The meat in your body, even if you eat a lot of carbs, has no carbs in it. That aspect of that food is totally destroyed, torn apart in the digestive process to its main molecular ingredients. So it's a non-issue. Doesn't matter if it's monogastric or it has 4 stomachs, 4-chamber stomachs like a cow. It all turns into meat somehow. The cow can do it more efficiently and has the machinery to better digest things like that. But it's not going to be in the meat. But that's a great question, and it's often used by so many people to sell you something. I wouldn't worry about it. Eat pork, eat chicken, eat anything, because what it eats may affect the nutritional levels in it slightly, but not enough where you're going to notice. And we've had this dispute about grass-finished and grain-finished beef. I won't eat grass-finished beef. I don't like it. I will eat grain-finished beef. The more fat, the better, and the only way to get that much fat in a cow is to feed it sugar of one form or another. Just look at the Wagyu beef. Look what they feed those poor cows over in Japan. It's like force-feeding a goose sugar so their liver fattens up and you get foie gras out of it. Human beings seem to be the only animal on the planet that doesn't seem to make the logical connection that when I eat all this candy and sugar and sweets and donuts and bread, I'm going to get fat. They don't say that works for the animals, but that doesn't, because the government is telling me that's what I'm supposed to be eating, all those grains and things. All right, let me go back a little more here, and here's a question. Mark Whistler, question, not a question, but you are spot on convincing loved ones this way. My wife and son are fighting me all the way. Just do my thing now. That's true, you will alienate your family. They will think you're crazy. They will start ignoring you and hiding from you. Don't want to do that. You still love them. You still love them. William McCartney, question, did Rosie Red change her name or move along? Rosie moved along, as far as I know. I haven't seen or heard from her in quite a while, unless she changed her name. But there's been nobody that I've seen lately that indicates that, hi, this is Rosie with a new name. Now, people do that. People do that. Jennifer Hip had a question. I have to commute to the office for 2 weeks. What do I do for lunch? I can't cook at the office, just a microwave is available. What you do for lunch is you make hamburger patties, pre-cooked bacon, hard-boiled eggs, put them in a Ziploc bag, or eat before you go to work, and you probably won't need to eat lunch if you're eating carnivore lifestyle. There's no rule that says that you have to eat at noon unless you're hungry. This breakfast is the most important meal of the day is a construct from John Harvey Kellogg. It doesn't matter. There is no such thing as the most important meal of the day. You might take that opportunity for a while to not eat until you get home at night. Have one meal a day in the evening. It depends on how much you need to lose. But if you are just starting carnivore, Jennifer, and you're following my little guidelines of never allowing a craving to make you fall off it, and it means always carrying food with you, just pre-cook some burgers and some bacon or hard-boiled eggs or any other meat that you might like. And if you got a microwave and you don't want to eat it cold, you can heat it up and sit there and just stuff your face full of that stuff and take plenty with you. Because when you start eating, you should always eat to satiety. Snacking, I don't hear this often enough. When I see YouTube influencers in the carnivore space making videos about carnivore snacks, it makes me crazy. I made a video about carnivore snacks, which was a little clickbaity, because on the clickbait, I think I said my favorite carnivore snacks, and the video was very simple. I pretty much says, don't. And I told why. I told why. Brian Fenker, question, do you travel, Mitch, like cruising? I have years ago, but I don't anymore. But I do travel occasionally. I take a car trip. I can go days without eating without even breaking a sweat. So if I have to go a day without eating, or I can always find a McDonald's, or I can always take food with me. Not a problem, but you can always get meat anywhere. You can go to McDonald's and get a half a dozen quarter-pound burger patties on their a la carte menu, and that's £1.50 a burger. So you can do that, but that's. Cheryl Corbett says, question, I usually have 3 meals. Is that a problem? Bacon for lunch usually. No, it's not a problem, but it probably means you're not really eating to satiety. One of those meals is probably more like a snack. But no, it's not a problem. It can never be a problem as long as you're eating the right foods. If you stay away from the sugars and the carbs, you will settle in after a while to a schedule that it's not really not your own making, but something that works for you and fits into your schedule, but is more guided by your hunger and satiety. Question, I started grinding coffee yesterday for the first time. What is the difference between coarse and fine grind? I'm not really a coffee aficionado, but the fine grind, you'll get probably a little stronger coffee out of it. The finer you grind anything, the more of it can be absorbed, which is why flour is so bad. It's so finely ground that it breaks down into pure glucose almost instantly. Anything that's powdered always dissolves faster. So a finer grind of coffee is going to make a shorter perk time. And what really matters in that is the method you make your coffee. I think if you're using a French press or something, or a regular old-fashioned percolator that just keeps cooking it and perking it and keeps running the water through the same coffee over and over again, I think you'd want a coarse grind. If you're using an instant coffee maker that runs the water through the coffee once, like a Keurig, you want fine grind. I think that's basically the difference. But I'm sure there are 1,000 YouTube videos that will tell you from coffee experts exact grind status that you should be using for whatever utensil you use to make coffee. And where am I in the chat here? I am at 9. Okay, I got back to 9 o'clock in the chat, and I don't see any more questions. I think I got them all. So this may work, guys. I may be able to get all of them. Let me look way down at the bottom now and see if I see any more questions. If I missed any, I'm sorry. I give it the old college try. We are almost 10 minutes overtime. So Had a great time today. And I may even I may just leave this set up all day and come out here at 3 o'clock, do the live stream with the panel. I'll puff on a cigar, have a little coffee, and I will see you all at 3. So for right now, I'll give you a little joyous music. You can take a minute, say goodbye to your friends in the chat. I will relight my cigar again. I haven't smoked much of it. Okay, and guys, I had a great time, and I gave you an extra 10 minutes to make up for the stupid 5 minutes that I stole from you at the beginning with no sound. Oh, man, and I think this new setup's working great. It's much easier for me to see, much easier for me to read. I just have to remember to look at the camera more, which I think is what got me in trouble in the first place. Got me in trouble in the first place. But I try not to make the same mistake twice, so hopefully that won't happen again. So I think the music is going to end here any second, so finish saying goodbye. And I will have a sip of coffee. And I'll try to finish this out professionally. And let the music end. Take the rest of the day off and eat meat.